Hey there, Cancer. My name is Isaac. Welcome to my channel. We're going to get into your reading for the month of September. So, I had to look at this chart for a little while to kind of see what was trying to emerge here. And I think you guys are going through some very subtle but also profound shifts that are not immediately obvious on the surface and are kind of showing up mainly just as a general underlying feeling that might be kind of driving you to kind of want to hide from people, to want to just, cancers are known for being homebodies to begin with, and a lot of times, but that tendency might be a little bit amplified this month. But with Lilith here and Venus in your conjunct in your fourth house in Libra, it's kind of suggesting that you don't give in to that urge because something it seems like what's happening here with we have a grand trine between Uranus, Pluto, and Venus and Lilith. So we see here where there's this little triangle being made here, which kind of represents a powerful, unimpeded flow. So it's like an amplifier of energy whenever you have a grand trine. And that can be positive or negative. But what we're seeing here is like a pretty significant change, but it's happening so slowly in you that it's not like immediately obvious what's really happening. It's just a feeling of like kind of wanting to stay away from people, because as you change, as your inner world starts to change, you start to present yourself differently, and then you start to wonder how you're presenting yourself to other people and what they might be thinking of, and you start to get kind of overwhelmed by all these thoughts. And with Chiron in your 11th house in Aries, it's like there's like a simultaneous desire for like social connection at the same time as kind of being afraid of it. So it's like the thing you want the most is very often the thing you also fear the most. And then we tend to spin up all these weird schemes and strategies for trying to find satisfaction through something else that you maybe don't want as much because the thing you do want you're afraid of. Um, so I think on some level you're kind of working through some social anxiety, but of course you don't have to force yourself to go and be around a bunch of people and just be really anxious. This is a slow process. I'm just saying maybe don't give in to that urge to hide and stay home all day and like or cancel with friends or just to isolate. Because if you isolate yourself, you're very likely going to find that you start to feel very frustrated, very unmotivated, and just kind of anxious in general. Whereas if you maybe go out and spend some more time like in public and just with other people in general, here North Node in your 10th house, the North Node kind of represents the universe, or the direction the universe is sort of nudging you and pushing you in. So the direction things are trying to move. Um, and in your 10th house here, it does suggest that instead of hiding from it, just embrace it, embrace the change, embrace the uncertainty, and allow yourself to work through here with Saturn in retrograde in your 10th house in Pisces, where there's this experience of, I've been explaining it this way a lot. Pisces kind of represents an energy that is, if you imagine that you're floating in the middle of an ocean and there's no land anywhere in sight, there's just nothing but water in all directions. It's just you and just nothing but water as far as the eye can see in every direction. That's kind of Pisces, the energy of Pisces, that feeling. And when you put Saturn in Pisces, Saturn likes to start drawing circles around things and drawing boundaries and creating anchors, things that your mind can latch onto and make sense of. But when Saturn's in retrograde, it's sort of boundary drawing qualities start to dissolve a little bit. So it's like you're dissolving boundaries around the way that you are typically perceived by other people, and through that process you start to redraw a new circle around who you are as far as your public persona, which then leads later on to more healthy social connections. Because like I said before, I think that there's a strong desire as well as a strong fear for these kind of social connections. um, and Chiron here, I mean, it's rooted in Chiron represents the wounded healer, but it's also really in the chart what it shows you is the person's deepest wound. And that nearly always has to do with self worth. And there's a process happening here where you presented yourself in a certain way because you felt a certain way, because you identified in a certain way. But now you're starting to feel different, which makes you shift your identity, which makes you present yourself differently. So it's like this kind of cascading effect. And what you're really working through right now is addressing some underlying self worth issues, which is a pretty common theme for just about everybody right now. It's just a matter of how it manifests and what people are doing to work through it. So you're definitely not alone in doing this. This is like the current human conditioning uh, has us all kind of feeling inherently nervous about our sense of value in relationship to other things in the world or other people in the world. But that's ultimately, maybe we shouldn't go here now, but ultimately is kind of rooted in the sense of the false sense of separation between self and environment. There is no real separation there. That's just the mind. That's just the ego playing a trick on itself, and creating this value system where we evaluate people and ourselves and circumstances based on all kinds of different criteria that ultimately don't have anything to do with how valuable a person is or isn't. Because if all things are really just one thing, if there's only one consciousness in all of existence, then the entire concept of value falls apart. Because how can one thing be more valuable than the other if everything is just one thing? Um, but anyways, I digress. And so if you are feeling this way, it might be worth talking about it, mentioning it. We have Mercury in your third house in Leo. Tell the people in your life that you're close to and that you care about how you're feeling. Tell them that you're feeling kind of anxious and like you feel like maybe you want to isolate and hide, but you know that you probably shouldn't. But let them know what's going on. So that way, if you do decide to kind of pull back and kind of, keep to yourself a little more, they'll understand why. Or if you do decide to spend more time, out in public or doing things with friends and just kind of outside of your comfort zone and in your home, and you maybe are acting a little differently, then people understand, like, oh, they told me they were going through something right now, and that's okay. Just, be just be open and communicate with the people that are close to you about what you're feeling if this is resonating with you at all. Um, but the main thing here is like it's just a warning to avoid avoidance, to not sort of isolate in your comfort zone because of the discomfort, this underlying kind of nebulous, difficult to describe sense of discomfort that might be sort of arising in you. Let it arise, let it happen, embrace it, feel the feelings, and let them process and let the transformation happen through you. Don't fight it, don't hide from it, because ultimately, if you go through this, you will find that you start feeling more comfortable in public situations and around groups of people where you can start to make those deeper sort of social connections that you, I think, secretly have always wanted. Um, but if you hide from that and try to stifle this process, it's really just going to prolong the inevitable, and it's going to make it more difficult, and it's just going to create more anxiety, and until something happens that drives you, and kind of, universe starts to kind of force you to come out of that shell a little bit. Um, so through this same sort of process, you may find that slowly over time, your sense of what you want to do for your career life, things in your career life might start to shift. Maybe your desires or just the circumstance itself. This will be slow and gradual. This is not going to be an immediate shift. That's how that happens. Since Saturn and Neptune here in your 10th house, these are both very very slow moving planets. Um, they take a long time to really for their influence to really work through your life. They cause slow changes. But as you go through this sort of self reevaluation process, um, and you start to feel different and you start to kind of shift your sense of identity based on that feeling, you will find that your desires and interests might start to shift and change a little bit too. I don't think this is going to be like a massive change, like a massive, like all of a sudden you're into one thing and now suddenly you're into the total opposite. It's going to be probably things that are still in the same vein of what you've always been interested in your career environment, but maybe just approaching it in a different way, where maybe you start to find that you've created circumstances for yourself that allow you to sort of hide from the fears that are now sort of kind of forcing their way to the surface a little bit. And as you work through those fears and you start to realize that the situations, the protective situations you've created out of because of those, are no longer necessary and actually might kind of hold you back and keep you from achieving certain things that you would like to do. Um, see if there's anything else kind of jumping out at me here. Just one minor thing that kind of just jumped out at me as I was looking at this here. If Pluto 29 degrees in your eighth house, if people want to spend money on you, let them. You know, accept it. Like don't allow these sort of underlying questions about self-worth make you feel like, oh, I need that, make you feel like you're being a better person by not letting people take care of you or by not letting people spend money on you. It's almost like a subconscious way of saying, oh, I'm not really worth you spending money on. So no, 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 please don't do that. Um, don't, obviously you don't need to like go and like encourage people to do this, and like, um, or anything like that, but allowing people to sort of help you and take care of you. Cancer is usually the one trying to take care of everybody, and then you say no when people try to take care of you. And really, all that does is increase the potential for you burning out emotionally. And that's about it. So, anyways, I'm going to keep this video a little bit short. I've been doing readings for a while now today, and I'm kind of getting a little burned out. So, um, remember to like and subscribe if you do like this video. I plan to keep doing this channel for a while and see how it goes, see if it picks up at all. I do offer private readings. I do natal chart readings, tarot card readings, astrological forecasts, all that kind of stuff. So if you are interested in any of that, my email is down in the description below. Thanks for watching and take care.